What's up, lads and ladettes? Today, I just want to vent about something, alright? You know, I'm a pretty big racing head, alright? I'm into NASCAR, F1, IndyCar. I've talked about it before. I watch all the motorsports that I can watch, alright, if they're on while I'm awake. Uh, NASCAR, my favorite one. They go to Daytona. It's the cutoff race for the playoffs, right? It's right when they get into the big final 10 races of the year, and they pick the 16 drivers to duel it out for those 10 races, right? Well, they decided to go to Daytona, which is a super speedway, the biggest track on the schedule, one of the biggest, and it's very known for its wrecks. A lot of people have died there back in the day, before they wore helmets. Even, they would just wear open face like fucking hats and go crazy at 200 miles an hour. And well, going into this race here at Daytona, like I said, it was the race to get into the playoffs. You had a lot of people who needed a win to get into the championship, right? There was, like, I believe Bubba Wallace. I'm just naming like a few people off my head. Harrison Burton. There were some drivers that have been doing really good this season that it came down to they didn't have enough points to get into the championship, so they need to win this race if they want to get in to the final 10 race battle for the championship, right? Great. Okay. Uh, Man, it was a nutty race. You would have to watch it yourself to truly experience it. But man, it was nerve-wracking. 160 laps. It was about a 3 hour long race. Um, the first stage was very, you had Stuart Haas racing up front because they've been trying to claw back any speed they had from previous years, and they're trying to gain all they can get from Kevin Harvick while he's still around. And they got on pole. They were 1, 2, and I think 9 and 10 on the leaderboard. Race starts, everyone's bumping and banging and pushing and drafting. They're trying to get three wide going. They're going nutty already, right? And then the race is going good. There's a few little tiny wrecks in the back, and I say about probably stage one, goes great, was really racy. Stage two was kind of quieting down. People weren't racing that much. They were more trying to figure out their fuel strategy. And then I don't know what it was, but this final stage, like from the ending of the second stage to the final stage, was just had some of the most bizarre shit going on. All right, like as soon as Kevin Harvick took the lead, all right, his final Daytona race, his final season, got into the series because Dale Earnhardt Sr. passed. Right, he was shot into his car. Right, and he had to basically take over the reins of Dale Earnhardt. Right, goes to Daytona again. It would have been the race he never got the chance to race at. Him and his team, and all of a sudden, like, shit just starts hitting the crazy barriers. All right, you got Ryan Blaney takes a death spin. A literal death spin, gets hooked into the wall, the same exact spot like Dale Earnhardt died like 22 years ago or some shit. Survives, gets out of the car, is obviously like, not right after that wreck. It just literally went 200 miles an hour into a wall. But, we all get over that. They go back green, and for some reason they're racing just as aggressive, if not more, than they were previously. Bumping and banging. People are side drafting hard. People are checking up lines to try to get a run for the next corner. There's some crazy shit going on. And then all of a sudden, you just see two cars dart down to the infield, and this is like 5 laps to go. Okay, I'm cheering for my boy Kevin Harvick to win his race. All right, I'm cheering my boy Harvick on, and then all of a sudden, I see Harvick's teammates fly from the field into the grass and barrel roll. Just the craziest. It looked like a movie. It felt like I was watching a movie. And I don't know how you do that with real cars, but man, it was wild out there. Ryan Preece like flipped 13 times, barrel rolled, window net flew out, roof hatch flew off, water bottle flew out. Dude's hands were basically dangling around in there somehow. This shit was nuts. He landed, and I'm like, shit. They're gonna call this race. Like, they're done. Like, this is the worst wreck in super speedway racing. This is pretty bad. We almost just killed two out of the three Ryans we have on the track. Just call the race. 5 laps to go, because you already know if you go green with another 5 laps, it's probably going to get even worse, right? Because that's what NASCAR drivers do. They keep upping the ante no matter what. All right, they don't care. All right, they don't care until the helmet comes off. All right, so they they somehow Ryan Preece. All right, Ryan Preece flips 13 times. Window net, like I said, flew out and shit. Lands. He took some hard impacts too while flipping. He landed on his roof twice and landed on the driver's side twice and shit. It was bad. All right, I'll try to like throw in some clips if I can. I'm usually a little like sussed out when I do that because I don't want to get any like evidence of a strike going on. But uh, it was nutty. All right, whenever somebody says NASCAR is boring or something, they need a swift kick in the ass because they are so wrong. Anything can be fucking boring. Okay, your mom can be boring. All right, you can be boring. Your fucking you know what? I think your birth was boring. All right, that's what I think. But man, this Daytona race was the most entertaining thing ever. All right, not just because it had wrecks. All right, I don't care about the wrecks. People almost died, but the racing was so good. People were trying to win. Anybody could have won that race. In the end, it was definitely looking like SHR was gonna win, and then all of a sudden, SHR wasn't going to win. It was crazy. But they had like some weird curse going on because all of a sudden, when Harvick takes the lead, shit hits the fan for that team. It was absurd. And I believe in curses. I believe in bad vibes, bad energy. All right, you know, uh, Harvick has some history with that track. Like I said, he took over for Dale Earnhardt. Right, got thrown into the 29 car and had to grind his way through the series basically and make his own path, which he now is on his own path. But it seems like he's still dealing with some type of Earnhardt curse going on at Daytona or something, because that was absurd. As soon as Harvick takes the league, but bam, Blaney in the wall, Earnhardt style, and then you got Ryan Preece doing some like Davey Allison flips. I believe that's Davey Allison that's flipped a few times, but that's like Dega, right? So man, it was like wild. There was a hex on. I think that's what a hex. There was a hex on the SHR cars. It was odd. Or for Kevin, I was like at the end of the Priest flip. I'm like, I just hope they call the race or something because when we go green again, I can easily see like Harvick getting wrecked or something. Just like I had bad vibes coming from that race towards the end when I kept seeing wrecks happen like that. It was absurd. But like I said, they went green. Uh, it was great racing up until like the last lap, and I think Chris Buescher and Brad Keselowski they tandemed up and they fucking flew away, and Harvick just couldn't block the run fast enough. And by the time he got behind somebody to get a push, it was like too late. He was already ninth. So there's nothing he could have done in that because it's pretty difficult to keep the lead after a restart. But it was just it was nuts. That was a crazy race. It really it showed how far safety has come with 20 something years, right? Because easily two people could have died if that was in the old style NASCARs. I easily think someone would have died. Those were some pretty hard hits, some pretty big hits. You could easily see after the wrecks, people were visibly ow, hurting afterwards. because I can assume the impact just from your seat belts pulling, the neck restraints pulling, everything pulling you back into your seat from the gravity or whatever going on in there. I'm sure it messes you up pretty good, or something internally gets messed up. But that Ryan Priest one, that one was spooky. That was a spooky wreck. When he's flipping, you can literally see the top of his helmet, and then you can see it hit the ground. And the force it hits, you could see the whole car bend and flex. It's so weird, but it's meant to do that, because if it didn't, all of that bending and flexing would go through the driver instead. So, it's good that the car took all the damage and not Priest. And it was even better when I believe Priest like climbed out under his own power too. We couldn't see it very well on TV because I think they were also spooked out by what they just witnessed. I think a lot of people thought the dude was dead, I'll be honest. Uh, like we did with the Ryan Newman wreck. It was just such a bad wreck that you haven't seen in a car like that. It's just it's like fuck, like holy shit. There's a man in that car. Like that's a lot of force to take, especially when it's spinning in the air. But it was wild. I definitely recommend you start watching NASCAR if you haven't, because the next 10 races are going to get even crazier. They got some good tracks coming up. But yeah, Ryan Priest, he's okay. Ryan Blaney, he's all right. I'm sure they're going to be hurting for a while. And, I'm sure NASCAR is going to want to do more research on the cars they wrecked in to improve the safety. But, I think everything did its job, besides like the whole keeping the car down on the earth. The cars really aren't supposed to take flight. We're trying to keep them on the track. But, you know, other than that, there's not much you can do when, you get turned or something. That they're just racing so hard, and you could see like the energy changing in the draft and everything. It's crazy. Speedway racing. It's all like after that race, I played iRacing right after, got into a super speedway race, wrecked myself in the entire field. It was a great time, but obviously all great things come to an end, like this video. So, but yeah, Ryan Priest, he's all right. He's gonna race next week. And yeah, I think that's it. It was just I had to talk about it because that race was something else. It was very entertaining. My boy Harvick was up there brawling, trying to win, doing everything he could, blocking all the runs. Just couldn't get a good push at the end, especially after both of his teammates got wrecked out. He didn't have much help going on. I think he knew RFK would work together, and then Chevy never pushes a Ford, so I think he knew he was kind of in a tough spot. But maybe it's for the better, because once I said, like before, I think there was some weird curse going on there, because it was just too odd for some of those wrecks happening. But yeah, that's I just wanted to vent about that. Man, NASCAR racing, super speedway, Daytona, forever.